Hello. So people say that I'm fearless, and not in a complimentary way. But I always ask myself the question, what is the point of fear? Like, in a biological sense, it warns you of danger. But what's next? You feel fear, your response kicks in, and you're frozen. But what's the next step? The next step is only forward. Because being paralyzed by fear and not moving forward is also making a choice. Standing still is a choice. So what are the fears that we normally deal with? My top three: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. And I think those are fairly universal fears for all of us. But if we look at the fears, we figure out, what do they actually mean to us? So the fear of failure, what does failing look like? What does it mean? For me, does it mean not getting a raise, losing a case, getting fired? Well, those are bad, but not paralyzingly so. You know, in the late 70s, as I told you in my introduction, when I was 6 and my little brother was 2, my parents immigrated to America from the former Soviet Union. They came here with no family, no friends, and $200 that they received from Jewish Family Services. And that was it. They said, "Good luck to you." And we said, "Thank you." A failure to my parents would have meant starvation, would have meant homelessness for their children. So for me, fear has a much lower stake. A few years ago, I switched careers. I gave up private practice at a big law firm and went in-house to a wonderful company. And I'm not just saying that, they're a wonderful company. But I was afraid. I'd spent 25 years building a reputation and a knowledge base, and I was going to do something completely different. And I was afraid. But I asked myself, because I like to speak to myself in the third person, self, what are you afraid of? Is it losing your job? I'm like, nah, I'm educated. I have a decent reputation. If I lose my job, I can get another one. I won't starve. My kids won't starve. Life will continue pretty much the same, failure or not. So that failure, I crossed off my list. There's no point to worry about that. So the next is fear of judgment. Okay, but what are people going to think of me? Well, but then I asked myself, whose judgment am I afraid of? And why does it matter? I have a really good friend who says she doesn't care what people think of her because why do I care what people think of me? They're judging me anyway. And of course, she's right. We're always being judged. And because of our fear of that judgment, we often stay quiet and are afraid to both ask questions and state opinions. So when I reached 50, I decided my friend was right. Caring about other people's judgment takes way too much energy. But to say that judgment doesn't matter at all is a level of self-assurance that I am still working on attaining, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to attain, because that is a lot of confidence. So I developed a workaround. I'm friends with an incredible group of women. The squad, part of the squad is here today. Hey, squad. And they judge me all the time. But they judge me as a wholly self-realized person with flaws, with fears, and triumphs, and tragedy. But most importantly, they judge me as being enough and not having to be more. So why do I care about strangers judging me? My family and my she tribe, they judge me to be awesome, and there's really no other judgment that matters. So finally, we get to fear of loss. Now, that's a hard one, right? Because there's nothing we can actually do to prevent loss. Fear of loss is the real one. So I start with the same question. What is the worst thing that can happen? Well, as a community of Jews, the answer is a simple one. There's a Holocaust, right? There's an attempted genocide of our people and our culture. But we survived, and we will survive again. Because the fear of anti-Semitism and being wiped out as a people is a constant hum for the Jewish people, especially now. And with the rise of anti-Semitism, the terror perpetrated by Hamas, and frankly, the need to increase security at Friday night services where my children are, can make one despondent. But we can say no. We can say no to that fear. That fear will not win. We can fear loss, but we don't let it paralyze us. We can see the horror around us, and we say, no. We are not going to let fear of loss stop our joy and our progress as both a community and a people. So don't be afraid. Elie Wiesel said, silence encourages the tormentor, but never the tormented. So I end this pearl with this. Don't be silent, don't be afraid, and be absolutely undeniable.